The Senate will come to order. Mr. Majors, would you please call the roll?
Senators Aguilar, Baumgartner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill, Hodge, Holbert, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez-Humanic, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Sonnenberg, Stedman, Tate, Todd, Ulibarri, Woods. Mr. President.
Here, with 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused, we have a quorum. Colleagues and guests, would you please stand and join us in the pledge? Senator Martinez-Humanic.
Mr. President, I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colleagues, we have a special treat this morning before we get started. As you know, when I was able to attend the National Honor Society ceremony at my son's school a couple weeks ago, and when I was there, I found us a choir. And I am thrilled to have them up here. I asked if they would mind joining us, and they said yes. So today from the Vanguard School, we have the Vanguard School Chamber Singers, which somewhat appropriately named, conducted by Melissa Elzer. I did want to brag on them a little bit. In September, we shared a tribute with them, and some of us had an opportunity to attend their 20th anniversary. As I have mentioned, this school has been cited in U.S. News and World Report and in Newsweek for being one of the top 20 high schools in the country. And what was fascinating about that event, as former Senator King shared, he started that school in his basement 20 years ago, Senator King and former Representative Gardner. So obviously an offshoot of that incredible product. We are thrilled to have you here today. Thank you. Thank you for traveling 80 miles to join us. I think it's actually a little farther than that, and I can assure you, you are carrying 35 more hearts away today. Senator Donovan.
Good morning, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the Journal of Tuesday, April 26, be dispensed with and the Journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is approved and the Journal is adopted. Committee reports.
April 26, 2016, Committee on Local Government, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1340 be postponed indefinitely. April 26, 2016, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Bill 146 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 26, 2016, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1021 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 26, 2016, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1337 be postponed indefinitely. April 26, 2016, Committee on Judiciary, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1359 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 26, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1333 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 26, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1330 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 26, 2016, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1329 be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 26, 2016, Committee on Transportation, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1172 be referred favorably to the Committee on Legislative Council. April 26, 2016, Committee on Transportation, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1319 be postponed indefinitely. April 26, 2016, Committee on Transportation, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1211 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee on Finance with a favorable recommendation. April 26, 2016, Committee on Transportation, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1186 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 26, 2016, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Bill 161 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. April 26, 2016, Mr. President, the Committee on Finance is under consideration as a hearing on the following appointments. It recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority Board of Directors for terms expiring July 1, 2019. Cecilia K. Sanchez de Ortiz of Denver, Colorado, to serve as a member representing the public, reappointed. Julie J. Bruin of Bellevue, Colorado, serves as a member representing the public, appointed. April 26, 2016, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1364 be postponed indefinitely. April 26, 2016, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1280 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 26, 2016, Committee on Finance, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1056 be referred favorably to Committee on Appropriations. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1318 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Bill 104 be amended as follows and also amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1059 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1009 be postponed indefinitely. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Concurrent Resolution 2 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Bill 72 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Bill 195 be amended as follows and as so amended before the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1256 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1034 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following Senate Bill 35 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1227 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee recommends following House Bill 1129 be amended as follows and as amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. April 27, 2016, Committee on Appropriations. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends following. Senate Bill 179 be amended as follows and as amended before the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation with the recommendation be placed on the consent calendar.
Senate Services.
April 27, 2016, quickly printed Senate Bills 201, 202, 203, and 204, correctly engrossed Senate Joint Resolution 35, correctly re-engrossed Senate Bills 256, 86, 97, 120, 140, 154, 162, 190, 191, and 192, Senate Concurrent Resolution 6, correctly revised House Bills 1006, 1014, 1232, 1309, and 1360, correctly enrolled Senate Memorial 2, Senate Joint Resolutions 28 and 33.
Third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of Senate Bill 185?
Senate Bill 185 by Senator Scott and Representative Melton concerning the allowable finance charge for certain consumer credit transactions.
Senator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 185 on third reading and final passage. And
Is there
I vote.
further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 185 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senator Johnston, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Heath, Senator Carroll, Senator Merrifield, Senator Hodge, Senator Aguilar, Senator Jones, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Stedman. Is someone giving away free glasses today? Senator Newell, Senator Kafalis, Senator Donovan, Senator Kerr, Senator Todd, Senator John, with 19 ayes, Senator Garcia. With 18 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 185 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Tate. Senator Holbert. Senator Sonnenberg. Senator Lambert. Senator Neville. Senator Crowder. Senator Grantham. Senator Baumgardner. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 170?
Senate Bill 170 by Senator Tate and Representative Arndt concerning the purchase of insurance through the Colorado Health Benefit Exchange for individuals who are eligible for the state Medicaid program.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 170 on third reading and final passage.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to remind members that the bill was amended heavily in committee, and I want to thank my colleague from Denver for her support of this bill being now a transparency bill. It is important even in its most narrow form now, and I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 170 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 170 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Roberts. Senator Martinez-Humenick. Senator Grantham. Senator Lambert. Senator Kafalis. Senator Lundberg. Senator John. Please add the President. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I move that the Senate proceed out of order for the purposes of a moment of personal privilege by Senator Merrifield.
You've heard the motion that the Senate proceed out of order. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will proceed out of order. Senator Merrifield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to take just a moment. Oh, I asked for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
I wanted to recognize, first off, a student from CC who is here with the rest of his class. Daniel Pampel is being recognized as the top student of German at Colorado College, and that gives me,
Willkommen. Senator Merrifield.
and he is seated amongst his other classmates, the political science classmates at Colorado College, who are here visiting to learn how politics really works, and it's not a science, believe me. With their professor, Tom Cronin from CC. I happen to be proud to be the state senator for the CC campus, so thank you all of you who are visiting us today. I hope we teach you something worthwhile.
Thank you for joining us, colleagues. Would you please welcome them? Guten Tag. General orders, second reading of bills. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills. Senator Holbert will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 150? Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, after conferring with a number of you and minority leadership, Mr. Chairman, I offer the following motion, which will lay over much of the general order second reading of bills calendar, all to April the 28th. So if you want to follow along in your calendar, Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee lay over Senate Bill 150, Senate Bill 183, House Bill 1377, Senate Bill 187, and Senate Bill 188 from the general order second reading of bills calendar to April 28th.
The motion is for a body to lay over the following bills to April 28th. Senate Bill 150, Senate Bill 183, House Bill 1377, Senate Bill 187, and Senate Bill 188. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills will be laid over. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 77?
Senate Bill 77 by Senator Gonzalez, Representative Janelle Primavera, considering a collaborative multi-agency approach to increasing competitive integrated employment opportunities for persons with disabilities in connection with developing and implementing an employment-first policy.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, colleagues. I move Senate Bill 77 and the Finance Committee report.
To the Finance Committee report, Senator Kafalis.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chair. The Finance Committee report is a strike-below amendment, so this amendment is now the bill. The purpose of this legislation is to develop an employment-first policy framework that is responsive to local employer and employee needs in order to increase employment opportunities for persons with disabilities. To achieve this purpose, the approach detailed in the committee report is to have the relevant state agencies and workforce-related councils working together to identify best practices and make recommendations. Senate Bill 77, as amended, will help address the problem of high unemployment and underemployment rates among persons with disabilities, especially people with significant disabilities, including folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Meaningful and gainful employment is important to all working-age individuals, and public-private sector collaboration is critical for success in achieving the goals.
Senator Kafalas, if I may interrupt. If I could ask you to take your side conversations out of the chamber or to lower your voices, please direct your attention to the member in the well. Senator Kafalas, please continue to the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was aiming to make the point that public-private collaboration is critical if we're going to have success in achieving the goals of an employment-first policy. The Finance Committee report is the result of efforts to address concerns raised by committee members who are willing to work with me, for which I am most grateful. Specific feedback was most helpful in emphasizing the critical role of the business and employer community and the marketplace, and how we go about aligning the policies and practices of the relevant departments. Some specific changes that are in the committee report, and by the way, members, I did put a fact sheet on your desks that provides some details of the Finance Committee report. But some of the specific changes include the following: changing the legislative declaration to a non-statutory declaration, adding language that references the importance of free market solutions, we are now establishing the Employment First Advisory Partnership, which is the essence of this bill, which comprised of 3 already existing entities within the Department of Labor and Employment, and those include the Colorado Workforce Development Council, the Employment First State Core State Advisory Group, and the State Rehabilitation Council. Again, we are creating a partnership to focus on employment first, and these are already existing entities that are involved in workforce development issues. I submit that Senate Bill 77, the Finance Committee report, would strengthen the opportunities for collaboration among the agency partners to consider employment-first best practices and make appropriate recommendations. In closing, the success that other states have had in increasing the number of individuals working in meaningful and gainful jobs, and the fact that 42 states have adopted employment-first policies is important to note. With the various proposed changes, the central purpose of this bill remains in place: to increase opportunities for persons with disabilities to get a good job in the community by engaging employers and workforce development practitioners to develop and implement best practices through an employment-first policy framework. This approach is good policy, one that is important to the continued development, progress, and competitiveness of Colorado. I respectfully ask for your support of the Senate Finance Committee report, and I'm more than happy to answer questions. Thank you, colleagues.
There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors. I'm sorry? Okay. Excuse me. Is there further discussion on the Finance Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Finance Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Finance Committee report is adopted. Now there is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read L009?
Amendment L009 to Senate Bill 77 by Senator Kafalas, amend the Finance
Senator
report.
Kafalas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, colleagues. I move L009, the second reading amendment to the Finance Committee report. I did move it.
Okay. To the amendment, Senator Kafalas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, colleagues, if you have a moment to look at your fact sheet, about halfway down the front page of your fact sheet, there are 5 bullet points which explain the details of L009. Essentially, what L009 does is the following. It says that the Department of Labor and Employment must review the combined state plan in accordance with WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity, to focus on that effort initially to make sure that as this plan is unfolding to be in compliance with WIOA, that we are taking into consideration supporting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in their efforts to achieve employment. It pushes out the dates of this partnership, of this Employment First Advisory Partnership, 4 months to December 30th, 2016. That's where they're to identify the participants, and we're trying to give the department a little bit more time. The MOU that in the finance report was for October 1st is now pushed out to January 30th, 2017. clarifies that the strategic plan delivered by November 1st of next year is an initial report, and that the strategic plan will be revised as the partnership completes its work. It also clarifies the recommendations will be submitted through the SMART Act hearings. And finally, it includes language in the Healthcare Policy and Finance statute that reflect the employment first presumption that was left out in the Finance Committee report. This is what the amendment does.
Is there further discussion on L009? Senator Hill.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ask for a Senatorial 5 to talk about this amendment.
Yes, sir.
We will stand in the Senatorial 5. Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I want to say thank you to the senator sponsoring this bill. We worked together very closely on this amendment. We brought it to Finance Committee, did a strike below. I appreciate the senator just explaining this amendment. This pushes off a couple of the dates in compliance with federal requirements coming down. I'm fully in support of this amendment as well as in support of the bill. We'll talk more about that later.
Is there further discussion? Senator Koufalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the comments from the good senator from El Paso County. And once again, I renew my motion to adopt the, we did adopt two. I renew my motion to adopt L009.
Is there further discussion on Amendment L009? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of L009. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. To the bill, Senator Koufalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, colleagues. I think we've had a good discussion of what the bill is doing and the L009 amendment. Again, this is about establishing an employment-first framework to help persons with disabilities work within the systems and work within the private sector, employers sensitive to their needs, to help people get jobs in the community. The amendment was just pushing back some of the dates. Currently it has bipartisan support. It passed both in the Finance Committee and in the Appropriations Committee with bipartisan support, and I believe this is an appropriate way forward to help people find employment. Thank you.
Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, just want to give you a quick update on how we were working together on this. Mr. Chair, really we've got a challenge with how government has been managing some of these programs to help those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. we can have many debates in here, and we do have many debates in here about what the role of government is, and I certainly think this is one of the appropriate roles of a limited government, and yet we haven't been doing it well. We heard multiple different testimonies about confusing regulations, conflicting policies, and we need to get this. We need to get this right. We need to do a better job of it. But it's not just, and I appreciate the sponsor working with me on this, it's not just about government coming in. Originally, we had talked about putting in a whole new layer of bureaucracy on this, and again, the sponsor worked with me to say, hey, let's find a more creative task force within these agencies to do a better job, to have a singular place that we can go to acknowledge some of these challenges and get work done. But we're also asking for a report to come back and say, what are the other ways we can do this better? What are the ways we can team up with private enterprise, with free market type solutions to make sure that those among us living with intellectual and developmental disabilities get the absolute best service we can possibly offer them. And so again, I appreciate the sponsor working with me on this amendment. There's a strike below we did in finance. I'm wholeheartedly in support of the bill, excited for one of these opportunities to work together in a bipartisan way. Thank you very much.
Further discussion on Senate Bill 77. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 77. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 77 is adopted. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the body to rise and report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee has met and had one bill under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
April 27, 2016, Mr. President, the committee holds reports under consideration of the foreign tax bills being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 77 is amended, passed on second reading, ordered and engrossed, based on the content for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 150, Senate Bill 183, House Bill 1377, Senate Bill 187, Senate Bill 188, later on April 28, 2016, retaining their place on the calendar.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move adoption of the report.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Senate Bill 77 as amended passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 150, Senate Bill 183, House Bill 1377, Senate Bill 187, Senate Bill 188 laid over until April 28th and retaining their place on the calendar. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majors, would you please, Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, colleagues, we're going to take up a special orders calendar that's comprised of the General orders, second reading of bills consent calendar found on page 2 from tomorrow's calendar. Mr. President, I move that the Senate take up a special orders second reading of bills consent calendar comprised of House Bill 1390 and House Bill 1397 at the hour of 9:55.
You've heard the motion that the Senate take up a special orders second reading of bills consent calendar at the hour of 9:55. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will take up a special orders second reading of bills calendar comprising the bills 1390, 1397, House bills. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Holbert will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you read the title to all of the bills on the general orders special orders second reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1390 by Representative Moreno, Senator Guzman, concerning immunity for certain persons who are involved with a reported overdose event. House Bill 1397 by Representatives Ryden and Winholz and Senator Hodge, concerning the completion of the Fifth Seven State Veterans Community Living Center to provide a continuum of residential care options.
Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee adopt the two bills detailed on the special order second reading of bills consent calendar, including House Bill 1390 and House Bill 1397. There are no committee reports.
Is there any discussion on either of the bills listed on the special orders second reading of bills consent calendar? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the special orders second reading of bills consent calendar. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the committee to rise and report. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
April 27, 2016, Mr. President, the committee will please report in consideration of the following test bills. The second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1390, House Bill 1397, pass the second reading in order to revise, placed on the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move adoption of the report.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. House Bill 1390, House Bill 1397 passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time I move that the Senate take up a special order second reading of bills calendar comprised of one bill, House Bill 1401. Colleagues, this is found on page 3 of tomorrow's calendar. House Bill 1401. Mr. President, I move special order second reading of bills calendar comprised of House Bill 1401 be taken up at the hour of 9:59.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will take up a special orders second reading of bills calendar comprising the bill of House Bill 1401 at the hour of 9:59. Having arrived at that, Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders second reading of bills.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of special orders second reading of bills. Senator Holbert will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The court rule is relaxed. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Bill 1401?
House Bill 1401 by Representatives Becker, Kay, and Periola, and Senators Woods and Hodge concerning the regulation of retail food establishments.
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We move House Bill 1401.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1401? There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read L012?
Amendment L012, House Bill 1401 by Senator Woods, amendment reading gross bill, page 3.
Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, this is an amendment just to clarify a few technical changes that the drafter needed to make in the bill, renaming a subparagraph to a subparagraph to just be a subparagraph, subsection 1 to be subsection 1.5. So it's it's really technical. It cannot get more technical than that. And so I ask for an aye vote on Amendment 12.
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also ask for an aye vote on this technical amendment. Thank you.
Is there further discussion, sub-discussion, or sub-sub-discussion on Amendment L012? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L012. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Is there further discussion? Senator Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, this is a bill that is a product of a long stakeholder process involving the Restaurant Association, the grocers, the convenience stores, CDPHE, the county health agencies, CCI for part of the time was involved in it. At this time, CCI as an organization is not in support of the bill, but several member counties are, including my county of Jefferson County, El Paso County, Larimer County, and Adams County. This bill is designed to increase the protections against foodborne illnesses that can be present in a restaurant or a convenience store, any place that serves food. Foodborne illnesses cause 1 in 6 Americans to get sick every year, resulting in 325,000 hospitalizations and 5,000 deaths at a cost of almost $16 billion. The restaurants have agreed to the fee increases that are included in this bill because they will get in return a better rating system for them. They will get a faster plan review when they're trying to expand or remodel or build a new restaurant. Now this bill will require the county agencies to do that plan review in 14 days instead of taking 6 to 8 weeks as is currently done. So we ask for an aye vote on 1401.
Is there further discussion? Senator Neville. There is an amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read L006?
Amendment L006, House Bill 1401 by Senator Neville, amendment reading gross bill.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, it's pretty rare that
Senator, would you move your amendment?
I move Amendment L006.
Very good. To the amendment, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, we heard that the Restaurant Association is in favor of this bill. That's not in doubt. However, understand that the Restaurant Association does not represent every restaurateur in the state of Colorado. Matter of fact, they represent less than half of the restaurateurs in the state of Colorado. So when I went around and did a little bit of research on this with fellow restaurateurs, people that I had known from the business from my time in food service distribution, Very few of them even knew that there was going to be a 50% increase in their rates over the next 3 years. Now, the 50% increase in fees is one thing, but as I got into the bill, I found out pretty quickly that there's another problem with this bill. And it's called and I use this term because that's what they call it, but it's not, the Voluntary National Retail Food Regulatory Program Standards, which will have to be adopted by the state of Colorado, which are critical to providing these increases over the next 3 years. There is a mandatory rate of adherence that is required on all of these voluntary national food regulatory program standards. And when I asked the sponsors of the bill if they were familiar with it, unfortunately they were not. I printed out what I could of the standards, and it's amazing because a lot of the standards aren't even available on the website. You get a little note that says, well, the PDF that you're using, the PDF file isn't available yet. So these are still being written. Colleagues, I look at this as the common core for food service safety. We adopt what is supposedly a voluntary national standard that we have to adhere because we have local laws that create a mandatory adherence program. It's pretty neat, pretty nifty, and of course it's basically how our federal government works. But it takes away the ability of the state of Colorado and the ability of your local counties to supervise what they're supposed to be able to supervise. That's why CCI has been opposed to the bill, and that's why I oppose the bill. This amendment doesn't change anything in the bill regarding those increases and regarding the requirements that the state of Colorado and CDPHE and the local health departments have a quick turnaround and actually do their job. It's pretty amazing that we have to have a bill to ask them to do what they're supposed to be doing with the fees. That aside, this amendment changes none of that. What it does is it delinks the necessity of the state of Colorado to have to report and the triggers in the state in the bill that are required for adherence to the national program. This allows CDPHE to do whatever it wants to do basically within good practices. So it offers the best of both worlds, but it takes and it delinks the federal leg of this program, which I believe is extremely important. So I urge an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Senator Woods.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask for a no vote on Amendment 6.
Senator Hodge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, as do I. Please vote no.
Is there further discussion on Amendment L006? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L006. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it, and the amendment is lost. Is there further discussion on House Bill 1401? Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I rise in support of this bill. I know that Larimer County is very supportive. I represent a part of that county. I also want to quickly share an example of how I think this bill will be helpful. There was a situation up in Estes Park, a restaurant that was needing to get approval. I don't recall if it was a new restaurant or an expansion or a remodel, but as was mentioned earlier by my colleague from Jefferson County, that process can often be delayed up to 8 weeks. And because it was delayed, because the resources weren't in place to do the inspections, they missed a good chunk of the tourist season. And as we all know, the tourist season is very critical for places like Estes Park. I think that's one example of why this bill is important, and I encourage you to support House Bill 1401. Thank you.
Senator Heath.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We heard this bill in BLT, and I want to commend the two sponsors of this for bringing everyone together, because it really was quite a process. That, excuse me, and not often can we have all the associations coming together and basically increase their own fees for the betterment of the public, which is what they're doing here. And I would strongly urge a yes vote.
Is there Senator Neville?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I urge a no vote. We have a 50% increase on fees. We've heard that some restaurants want that increase. Basically, they feel like they're being held hostage by CDPHE and the lack of timely inspections. I understand that. I get that. I don't think that we should give in to government because they hold us hostage. I think the other thing that we need to consider, again, I know that the amendment failed, but I encourage you to go online and at least look at what you're buying into so that we don't have this, what I would call buyer's remorse as we've had in other areas such as education and healthcare. I urge a no vote.
Further discussion on House Bill 1401. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1401. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the committee to rise and report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The aye has it, and the committee will rise and report.
Yes.
The Senate will come back to order. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee has met and had one bill under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
April 27, 2016, Mr. President, the committee will be considered reports under consideration. The following attached bill, being a second reading thereof, makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1401 as amended, passed on second reading in order to revise, placed on the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move adoption of the report.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. House Bill 1401 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time we're going to take up yet another special orders calendar. Colleagues, this will be colleagues, this will be comprised of the governor's appointments consent calendar located on page 3 of your calendar from tomorrow. Mr. President, I move that the Senate take up a special orders consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar for members of the Statewide Internet Portal Authority, member of the State Historical Society Board of Directors, and members of the Pinnacle Assurance Board of Directors at the hour of 10:12.
You have heard the motion that the Senate take up a special orders consent calendar of governor's appointments. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Mr. Majors. Would you please read the appointments?
Member of the Statewide Internet Portal Authority for term expiring June 1, 2016, the Honorable Lou Gator III of Fort Collins, Colorado, serves as representative of local government and occasioned by the resignation of Jack Aerosmith, appointed. Member of the State Historical Society Board of Directors for term expiring July 1, 2018, Tamara Joyce Ward of Denver, Colorado, appointed. Members of the Pinnacle Assurance Board of Directors for term expiring January 1, 2018, Bonnie Brown Dean of Greeley, Colorado, an employer whose liability is insured by Pinnacle, reappointed for term expiring January 1, 2021. Barbara Millman Davis of Denver, Colorado, serves as an employer of an employer whose liability is insured by Pinnacle Insurance, reappointed.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate confer the governor's appointments detailed on the special orders consideration governor's appointments consent calendar, which is made up of including members of the Statewide Internet Portal Authority, a member of the State Historical Society Board of Directors, and members of the Pinnacle Assurance Board of Directors.
Is there further discussion on any of the appointments? Seeing none, are there any no votes on any of the appointments on the governor's appointments consent calendar special orders? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Honorable Lou Gator III is appointed as a member of the Statewide Internet Portal Authority. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Tamara Joyce Ward is appointed as a member of the State Historical Society Board of Directors. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Bonnie Brown Dean and Barbara McCallum Davis are appointed as members of the Pinnacle Assurance Board of Directors. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majors, would you please read the title to House Joint Resolution 1018?
House Joint Resolution 1018 by Representatives Esgar and Vehil and Senator Garcia concerning the support for goods produced in Colorado and other states in the United States.
Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I move HJR 1018 ask to be read at length.
Whereas, Colorado has a proud history of manufacturing and production, having always been defined by our independent and enterprising spirit and our can-do attitude toward problem solving. And whereas to connect Denver with the western slope by rail in the 19th century, miners carved roads into impossibly steep mountainsides across Colorado, and engineers blasted and drilled through 6 miles of solid rock and called it the Moffett Tunnel. And whereas Pueblo, the manufacturing hub of Colorado, also known as the Steel City, has time and time again revitalized the economy of Colorado with its rich natural resources and welcoming business climate, attracting a diverse group of entrepreneurs and workers from across the country. Whereas a strong domestic steel industry is a point of national pride but has been threatened in recent years by cheaper, foreign-made steel. And whereas buying and supporting American-made steel supports the steel industry, our nation's infrastructure, and a healthy national economy. And whereas Colorado companies employ Coloradans and are the backbone of our economy, with over 500,000 small businesses in the state employing nearly 1 million Colorado workers. And whereas buying American-made goods supports American manufacturing jobs, which in turn support the middle class and lead to overall prosperity with fewer people in need. And whereas manufacturing is crucial to the nation's economic recovery and sustained job growth, and whereas America's workforce can out-innovate and out-compete the world and revive our manufacturing sector if we buy American-made products. And whereas standing up for American manufacturing helps level the playing field with large multinational corporations. And whereas Colorado lost about 25,000 manufacturing jobs between 1994 and 2015, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, due in part to unfair competition from companies overseas. And whereas buying American-made products not only creates manufacturing jobs, but also leads to a ripple effect for our economy. And whereas more American manufacturing jobs not only reduce the unemployment rate, but also expand the tax base to pay for public benefits such as Medicare and Social Security. And whereas buying American-made products protects Colorado's natural environment, as American manufacturers follow strict environmental regulations that do not exist in many of the countries that export their goods to the U.S. And whereas the American steel industry is a leader in recycling, with steel being one of the most widely recycled materials in the nation. And whereas buying American products supports safe and fair working conditions, as many countries impose negligible regulations or standards on working conditions and permit unreasonably long and unsafe hours, child labor, and extremely low wages. And whereas purchasing American-made goods supports fair labor standards and good jobs for good wages. And whereas American-made products are safe and made with high quality compared to some foreign products that aren't held to the same safety standards and that can put our children and families in danger. And whereas buying American-made products keeps our dollars in the U.S., paying workers who directly or indirectly created the product and then spend their wages in the U.S. And whereas the economic recovery has not yet reached every Colorado family, And whereas we have the power to support Colorado and invest in America by buying American and Colorado-made goods, now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 70th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the Senate concurring herein, that the State of Colorado encourages the purchase of goods and services from Colorado-based companies, farmers, and workers, and in the case of goods and services that are not available from Colorado companies, farmers, or workers, from U.S.-based companies, farmers, and workers, in preference over goods and services grown, produced, or manufactured in foreign countries. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Governor John Hickenlooper, the Colorado Congressional Delegation, President Barack Obama, the Pueblo County Commissioner, the Pueblo City Council, and the Greater Pueblo Chamber of Commerce.
Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, this morning we pause to acknowledge and to strengthen our commitment to buy American and Colorado-made products. In my hometown of Pueblo, there's no greater reminder of the importance of this. Our steel mill, Everez, which dates back to 1881, by the turn of the century was the largest steel mill west of the Mississippi, and it contributed to Pueblo's booming manufacturing economy and drew thousands of immigrants and their families to our welcoming community and to this great state. Today, sadly, Everest is operating below capacity at around 65%, experiencing layoffs and decreased production, and it's been tough for many families there. When steel manufacturers like Everest cut back, when America buys steel from China, my community feels it, and so does Colorado. And as lawmakers here in Colorado, I think we understand the value of buying American and Colorado-made products. I ask for your support of HJR 1018.
Is there further discussion? Senator Baumgartner. There is an amendment. Mr. Majors, would you please read Amendment 1?
Amendment L001.
Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, I just wanted to bring to the attention of the body, I move L001.
To the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand here in favor of the amendment, or in favor of the resolution that my good senator friend from Pueblo brought. I just wanted to make sure that coal, has been talked about a lot here, and it's an essential role in the production of steel down in Pueblo where the steel mill is, and which creates jobs, and it's sustainable for the state's energy supply. And I just wanted to say that we realize that that's an integral part of Colorado's economy, and it has been for more than a century. And with that, I withdraw L001.
Which takes us to the resolution. Is there further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1018? Seeing none, are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Joint Resolution 1018 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Kafalis, Senator Carroll, Senator Donovan, Senator Jones, Senator Merrifield, Senator Woods, co-sponsors, Senator Heath, Senator Jones, Senator Baumgartner, Senator Kerr, Senator Stedman, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Newell, Senator Hill, Mr. Majority Leader, Senator Cook, Senator Johnston, Senator John, Senator Crowder, Senator Tate. Please add the President. Consideration of House adherence. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over the consideration of House adherence calendar to April 28th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The consideration of House adherence calendar will lay over until April 28th. Message from the House.
April 27, 2016, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transferred the advisory statutes, House Bill 1368. The House has passed on third reading and transferred the advisory statutes, House Bill 1388 as amended, House Bill 1378 as amended, House Bill 1347 as amended, House Bill 1436 as amended. The House has passed on third reading and transferred the advisory statutes, Senate Bill 132 is amended.
Message from the Reviser.
April 27, 2016, we herewith transmit without comment as amended House Bills 1347, 1368, 1378, and 1388 without comment as amended Senate Bill 132, with comment as amended House Bill 1436.
The President appoints Senators Marble chairs, Senator Sonnenberg and Garcia as members of the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 62. Consideration of governor's appointments. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over the consideration of governor's appointments calendar to April 28th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The consideration of governor's appointments calendar will lay over until April 28th. Announcements. Senator Newell, you knew this was coming. Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, thank you so much to those of you who are wearing jeans today for Colorado Denim Day. And not only is it possibly more comfortable for you, but if you can also remember today this one quick story of why we are spending the day in jeans. In 1992, in a small town out...
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. In 1992, in a small town outside of Naples, Italy, a young woman accused her 45-year-old driving instructor of brutally raping her during a driving lesson. She told police that he drove her to an isolated area, forced her out of the car, and raped her. He was convicted on lesser charges and later convicted on all charges by an appeals court in 1998. He was sentenced to 34 months in prison before the case made its way to the Italian High Court. There, the sentence was overturned based on the justice's belief that since the victim wore tight jeans that were not easily removed, she must have helped remove them for the rapist. In a statement made by the chief judge, he argued, because the victim wore very, very tight jeans, she had to help him remove them. And by removing the jeans, it was no longer rape, but consensual sex. The decision outraged lawmakers and organizations not only in Little Italy, but worldwide. Enraged by the verdict, the women in the Italian parliament launched into immediate action and protested by wearing jeans on the steps of the Italian parliament building. Immediately, this image spread, and in Sacramento, California, members of the California Senate and Assembly followed suit by wearing jeans on the steps of their Capitol. This was the beginning of what has now become a worldwide event and movement to wear jeans as a visible means of protest against misconceptions that surround sexual assault.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. We want to also mention the $5 donation and then explain a little. On Colorado Denim Day, state agencies, businesses, and other groups in Colorado are asked to allow their employees to pay $5 in exchange for wearing jeans on Denim Day. Wearing jeans is a visual sign of your support of survivors and CICASA's mission to end sexual violence. Funds donated by employees and team members will directly support CICASA's advocacy work to ensure that survivors are supported, perpetrators held accountable, and that we are all engaged in bringing an end to sexual violence in Colorado communities.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. President. And so thank you, members, for joining us in making a stand today. And if you would like, all of those of us who are wearing jeans, we're going to meet in that corner very quickly upon adjournment and take a 10-second photo. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senators. Further announcements? Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things. Important for you to note that starting on April 26th and ending on May 16th, it's the 2016 benefits open enrollment. This year's open enrollment is passive, which means if you don't make any changes during open enrollment, your fiscal year 15-16 elections will roll over into 16-17, except for your participation in a flexible spending account. If you intend to do that, you must enroll in a flexible savings account before open enrollment closes on May 16th. Staff is prepared to assist you if you have any questions. We're starting to talk about end of session things. So as you know, over the interim, the Senate chandelier is scheduled to be renovated, and so please be advised, first of many reminders, that the Senate desks in the chamber are going to need to be completely cleared out in the 2 days immediately following adjournment, sine die. So you'll begin to plan on that, and then the usual announcements will begin to hit our desks as far as what to do with your filing cabinets, to keep, to retain, to throw out, et cetera, et cetera. So begin looking for the Senate Secretary's forms with your desires listed in check-the-box system. With that, our work is concluded for the day. We are going to leave the desk open in anticipation of more bills coming over from the House, but you do not need to return. With that, Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess to 1 p.m. this afternoon. I'm looking to the Assistant Majority Leader. I assume there's no committee announcements. So renew my motion to recess to 1 p.m. this afternoon.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate will recess until 1 p.m.